Today, I want to talk about a phrase many people in America know well: Texas time. It does not refer to clocks or time zones. Instead, it describes the harsh reality of prison life in the state of Texas, where prison sentences often feel longer, tougher, and more punishing than in many other places. The prison system in Texas has built a reputation as one of the toughest correctional systems in the United States. For decades, Texas has focused heavily on punishment rather than rehabilitation. Strict rules, long sentences, limited parole opportunities, and difficult living conditions create an environment where inmates often feel that every day moves slowly and painfully. But why does prison feel longer in Texas? First, Texas has some of the harshest sentencing laws in the country. Many offenders receive long mandatory sentences, especially for violent crimes and repeat offenses. Even nonviolent offenders can spend years behind bars. In many cases, prisoners must serve a large percentage of their sentence before becoming eligible for parole. Second, prison conditions can be extremely demanding. Overcrowding, isolation, extreme heat, and limited personal freedom affect both physical and mental health. Some prisons in rural Texas struggle with understaffing and violence, creating stressful environments for both inmates and correctional officers. Another major issue is the limited focus on rehabilitation. Education, mental health support, and job training programs are often insufficient compared to the number of inmates who need them. Without hope, progress, or preparation for life after prison, time can feel endless. However, supporters of the Texas prison system argue that strict punishment helps reduce crime and protects society. They believe tough consequences discourage criminal behavior and ensure accountability. For victims and families affected by crime, justice and public safety remain very important concerns. Still, many experts now question whether harsh punishment alone truly works. Studies across the United States suggest that rehabilitation, education, and mental health treatment can lower repeat offenses more effectively than punishment by itself. The real challenge is finding balance, protecting society while also giving people a chance to rebuild their lives. A prison system should punish crime, but it should also encourage change, responsibility, and hope. In the end, Texas time is more than a phrase. It represents a deeper debate about justice, humanity, and the purpose of prison itself. Are prisons only meant to punish? Or should they also prepare people to return to society as better citizens? The phrase Texas time is often used to describe the unique and extremely difficult experience of serving a prison sentence in Texas. It is not simply about the number of years an inmate spends behind bars, but about how emotionally, mentally, and physically exhausting those years can become. Many prisoners and prison experts explain that time in Texas prisons feels slower because of the harsh environment, strict discipline, and limited opportunities for comfort or personal growth. Even a short sentence can feel endless under such conditions. Texas prisons are known for their tough routines and strict control over inmates' daily lives. Prisoners often wake up early, follow rigid schedules, and live under constant supervision. Personal freedom is extremely limited, and inmates may spend years repeating the same routines every single day. This repetition creates emotional pressure and causes many prisoners to feel trapped in a cycle where time barely moves. Another reason prison sentences feel longer in Texas is the atmosphere inside many correctional facilities. Overcrowded cells, extreme summer heat, violence, isolation, and limited communication with family members can increase stress and anxiety. In some prisons, inmates spend long periods with little meaningful activity, making boredom and loneliness a serious mental challenge. Without educational programs, recreation, or rehabilitation opportunities, many prisoners lose motivation and hope for the future. The parole system also contributes to the feeling of Texas time. In Texas, many inmates must serve a large percentage of their sentence before they can even be considered for release. Some prisoners repeatedly face parole denials, even after years of good behavior. This uncertainty creates frustration because inmates never fully know when they may regain freedom. Waiting for parole decisions can make months feel like years. In addition, Texas has historically focused more on punishment than rehabilitation. While some states invest heavily in counseling, education, and prisoner reform, Texas prisons have often emphasized discipline and control. As a result, inmates may feel that prison is designed only to punish rather than help them improve their lives. This harsh philosophy strengthens the idea that time in Texas prisons is more difficult and emotionally draining than in many other prison systems across the United States. The prison system of Texas has gained a national reputation for being one of the strictest and most demanding correctional systems in America. For decades, Texas has followed a tough-on-crime approach that focuses heavily on punishment, discipline, and long-term incarceration. This reputation did not develop overnight. It grew through years of strict sentencing laws, large prison populations, and policies designed to send a strong message against criminal behavior. Texas operates one of the largest prison systems in the United States, housing thousands of inmates across numerous correctional facilities. Because of the large inmate population, many prisons face overcrowding and pressure on resources. In such environments, maintaining order becomes the top priority. Strict rules control almost every aspect of daily life, including movement, communication, work assignments, and recreation. Inmates who break prison rules may face harsh disciplinary actions such as solitary confinement, loss of privileges, or restricted visitation rights. Another factor that makes the Texas prison system appear especially tough is its physical environment. Many prisons are located in remote rural areas with extremely hot weather conditions. Some facilities have faced criticism for inadequate cooling systems during intense Texas summers, where temperatures can become dangerous. Living in crowded cells with extreme heat and limited comfort increases physical stress and makes prison life more difficult for inmates. Violence and security concerns have also shaped the image of Texas prisons. Correctional officers often work in high-pressure situations where gang activity, fights, and tension among inmates can create dangerous conditions. To maintain control, prison authorities enforce strict security measures and constant surveillance. While these measures are intended to protect safety, they can also make prisons feel more oppressive and emotionally exhausting for inmates. Texas is also known for imposing severe punishments for certain crimes. The state has historically supported long prison terms and has maintained some of the strongest criminal justice policies in the country. In serious cases, Texas became widely recognized for its use of the death penalty, further strengthening its image as a state with a very strict approach to crime and punishment. In addition, rehabilitation programs in some Texas prisons have often been criticized as insufficient compared to the needs of inmates. Educational opportunities, mental health support, addiction treatment, and job training programs may not always reach every prisoner who requires help. Without these opportunities, inmates may struggle to improve themselves or prepare for life after release, making prison feel more focused on punishment than personal reform. Because of these combined factors, strict discipline, harsh living conditions, strong sentencing laws, overcrowding, and limited rehabilitation, the Texas prison system is often viewed as one of the toughest and most unforgiving prison systems in the United States. One of the main reasons the prison system in Texas is considered extremely harsh is because of its strict sentencing laws. Texas has historically adopted a tough stance on crime, believing that severe punishment helps maintain public safety and discourages criminal behavior. As a result, many offenders receive long prison sentences, even for crimes that may result in lighter punishments in some other states. These strict laws have played a major role in creating the idea of Texas time, where prison sentences feel longer and more difficult. Texas courts often impose mandatory minimum sentences for certain crimes, especially violent offenses, drug-related crimes, and repeat offenses. Mandatory sentencing laws limit the flexibility of judges because they require offenders to serve a fixed minimum amount of time regardless of personal circumstances. This means that even if a person shows regret, has no serious criminal history, or committed a nonviolent offense, the law may still require a lengthy prison term. Many inmates therefore enter prison already knowing they will spend years behind bars with little hope of early release. Repeat offender laws also contribute to longer prison sentences. Texas has strict policies against habitual offenders, meaning individuals with previous criminal records can receive significantly harsher punishments for new crimes. In some cases, repeat offenders may face decades in prison or even life sentences. These policies are designed to prevent repeat crime, but critics argue they can also lead to overcrowded prisons and punish people beyond what is necessary for rehabilitation. Parole restrictions make prison sentences feel even longer. In Texas, inmates often must complete a large percentage of their sentence before becoming eligible for parole consideration. However, eligibility does not guarantee release. Many prisoners are denied parole multiple times, even after years of good behavior or participation in prison programs. This creates uncertainty and emotional stress because inmates do not know how much longer they may remain incarcerated. Waiting years for parole hearings and facing repeated denials can make time feel endless. Another issue is that some inmates receive consecutive sentences instead of serving multiple punishments at the same time. Consecutive sentencing means one prison term begins only after another has ended, causing total prison time to increase dramatically. For certain offenders, this can lead to decades of imprisonment with little chance of returning quickly to normal life. Supporters of these strict sentencing laws argue that they help protect society by keeping dangerous criminals off the streets for long periods. They believe severe punishments send a strong warning to others who may consider committing crimes. Victims and their families may also feel a sense of justice when serious offenders receive lengthy prison terms. However, critics argue that excessively long sentences do not always reduce crime and may instead create more social problems. Long-term imprisonment can damage mental health, separate families, and make it harder for former inmates to successfully return to society after release. Many experts believe that rehabilitation, education, counseling, and supervised reintegration programs may be more effective than simply extending prison time. Because of these strict sentencing practices, reduced parole opportunities, and long mandatory prison terms, many inmates in Texas experience prison as a system where freedom feels very distant and time passes much more slowly. One of the biggest reasons prison sentences feel extremely difficult in Texas is the harsh living conditions inside many correctional facilities. Life in prison is already challenging because inmates lose their freedom, privacy, and connection to normal society. However, in Texas prisons, overcrowding, violence, poor living environments, and emotional pressure can make daily life even more stressful and exhausting. These conditions often cause inmates to feel that every day passes slowly and painfully. Overcrowding has long been a major issue in many prisons across Texas. Large numbers of inmates are placed into facilities that sometimes struggle to handle the growing prison population. Cells built for 1 or 2 prisoners may hold more people than intended, reducing personal space and increasing tension between inmates. Overcrowded environments can lead to frustration, anger, and conflict because prisoners are forced to live closely together for long periods with little privacy or comfort. The physical conditions inside some prisons can also be extremely harsh. Texas is known for its intense summer heat, and many prison facilities have faced criticism for lacking proper air conditioning systems. Temperatures inside prison buildings can become dangerously high during heat waves, especially in crowded housing units with limited airflow. Inmates may suffer from dehydration, exhaustion, headaches, sleep problems, and other heat-related illnesses. Living in extreme temperatures every day creates both physical discomfort and emotional stress. Violence is another serious challenge within the Texas prison system. Gang activity, inmate conflicts, and assaults can create a constant atmosphere of fear and tension. Many prisoners feel the need to stay alert at all times to protect themselves from potential threats. Fights may occur over personal disputes, gang rivalries, or competition for limited resources inside prison. In some cases, correctional officers also work under dangerous conditions while trying to maintain control and safety. Because of security concerns, prisons often enforce strict control measures that can make life feel emotionally draining. Inmates may experience frequent lockdowns, heavy surveillance, limited movement, and strict disciplinary rules. Solitary confinement is sometimes used as punishment for rule violations or to separate dangerous inmates from the general prison population. Spending long periods isolated from human contact can seriously affect mental health, leading to depression, anxiety, anger, and emotional instability. Mental health problems are common in difficult prison environments. Many inmates already enter prison struggling with trauma, addiction, poverty, or emotional disorders. Harsh prison conditions can worsen these problems. Limited access to mental health treatment and counseling may leave inmates feeling hopeless or forgotten. Without emotional support or positive activities, prisoners may experience loneliness and lose motivation for self-improvement. Family separation also adds to the emotional burden of prison life. Many Texas prisons are located in remote rural areas far from major cities, making visits difficult for families. Some inmates rarely see loved ones because of travel costs or distance. Losing regular family contact can increase feelings of isolation and sadness, especially during long prison sentences. Daily routines inside prison are often repetitive and exhausting. Prisoners wake up early, follow strict schedules, eat basic meals, and repeat the same activities every day with little change. The lack of freedom, entertainment, and personal choice causes many inmates to feel trapped in a cycle where time moves slowly. Even simple comforts that people outside prison take for granted become unavailable or restricted. These harsh conditions, overcrowding, violence, extreme heat, emotional isolation, and strict control, combine to create an environment where prison life becomes physically and mentally exhausting. For many inmates, the difficult daily experience is what truly makes Texas time feel longer than the actual years written in their sentence. One of the most serious criticisms of the prison system in Texas is the limited availability of rehabilitation programs for inmates. While prisons are meant to punish individuals for breaking the law, many experts believe they should also help prisoners change their behavior and prepare for a better life after release. However, in many Texas prisons, opportunities for education, counseling, mental health support, and job training are often not enough to meet the needs of the large inmate population. This lack of rehabilitation can make prison feel hopeless and prevent inmates from improving themselves during their sentence. Education is one of the most important tools for rehabilitation, yet many prisoners have limited access to quality educational programs. A large number of inmates enter prison with low levels of education, poor reading skills, or no professional training. Without proper education, it becomes difficult for them to find stable employment after release. Some prisons offer basic classes or vocational training, but overcrowding, limited funding, and staff shortages can prevent many inmates from participating. As a result, prisoners may spend years in prison without learning new skills or preparing for a productive future. Job training opportunities are also limited in some facilities. Vocational programs that teach skills such as construction, mechanics, welding, computer work, or agriculture can help former inmates rebuild their lives after prison. However, not every inmate has access to these programs. Many prisoners leave prison without practical work experience or qualifications, making it difficult to compete in the job market. This increases the risk of unemployment, poverty, and repeat criminal behavior after release. Mental health support is another major concern. Many inmates struggle with depression, anxiety, trauma, addiction, or other psychological problems before entering prison. Harsh prison conditions can worsen these issues over time. Unfortunately, mental health services inside prisons are often stretched thin because of limited staff and resources. Inmates who do not receive proper counseling or treatment may continue to suffer emotionally, making rehabilitation more difficult and increasing tensions inside prison facilities. Drug addiction treatment is equally important, but often insufficient. Many individuals enter prison because of crimes connected to substance abuse. Without effective addiction treatment programs, inmates may never fully address the root causes of their criminal behavior. Rehabilitation experts argue that treating addiction through therapy and recovery programs can significantly reduce repeat offenses, but limited access to these services weakens the chances of successful reform. The lack of rehabilitation also affects inmates psychologically. When prisoners spend years without meaningful activities, personal development, or hope for change, they may begin to feel forgotten by society. Repetitive routines, isolation, and limited opportunities can create frustration, anger, and hopelessness. Instead of encouraging growth, prison may become a place where inmates simply wait for time to pass. Supporters of stronger rehabilitation programs believe prisons should focus not only on punishment, but also on preparing inmates to return to society responsibly. Education, counseling, job training, and personal development programs can help reduce crime by giving former inmates a better chance at stable employment and healthier decision-making after release. Critics of the current system argue that when rehabilitation is neglected, prisons may fail to solve the deeper problems connected to crime. Instead of helping inmates improve themselves, long periods of incarceration without support can leave people emotionally damaged, unprepared for freedom, and more likely to struggle after leaving prison. Many people who support the prison system in Texas believe that strict punishment is necessary to maintain law and order in society. They argue that strong sentencing laws, tough prison conditions, and long prison terms send a clear message that criminal behavior will lead to serious consequences. According to this view, harsh punishment is not only about punishing offenders, but also about protecting innocent citizens and preventing future crimes. Supporters of strict prison policies often believe that fear of punishment discourages people from committing crimes. This idea is known as deterrence. The logic behind deterrence is simple. If individuals know they could face many years in prison under difficult conditions, they may think twice before breaking the law. Texas has long promoted a tough-on-crime approach, partly because many citizens and political leaders believe severe punishments help create safer communities. Another reason supporters defend the tough prison system is the belief that dangerous criminals should be removed from society for long periods of time. Violent offenders, gang members, repeat criminals, and individuals convicted of serious crimes are seen as threats to public safety. By keeping these individuals in prison, supporters argue that the state protects families, neighborhoods, schools, and businesses from further harm. Many victims of crime and their families also feel a sense of justice when offenders receive lengthy prison sentences. Supporters also point to personal responsibility as an important principle. They argue that individuals make choices, and those who choose to commit crimes must accept the consequences of their actions. From this perspective, prison is meant to serve as punishment for breaking the law, and harsh conditions are viewed as part of that punishment rather than a problem to be solved. Some people believe that making prison life too comfortable could weaken accountability and reduce respect for the legal system. The Texas prison system has historically reflected these beliefs through strict laws and firm disciplinary practices. Supporters argue that maintaining order inside prisons requires strong control measures because correctional officers deal with dangerous situations every day. Strict rules, surveillance, and disciplinary actions are seen as necessary tools to prevent violence, gang activity, escapes, and disorder within correctional facilities. Some supporters also believe that longer prison sentences provide victims and communities with emotional closure. Families affected by violent crimes may feel safer knowing offenders are serving significant prison terms. In this way, punishment is viewed not only as a legal consequence, but also as a way of delivering justice to those harmed by criminal acts. There are also arguments that tough prison systems contribute to lower crime rates over time. Some supporters claim that strict sentencing policies remove repeat offenders from the streets and reduce opportunities for further crimes. They believe that if punishments become weaker, criminal activity may increase because offenders would not fear serious consequences. However, even among supporters of strict punishment, there are debates about how harsh prisons should become and whether punishment alone is enough to solve crime problems. Some believe that while strong punishment is necessary for serious offenders, prisons should still include rehabilitation opportunities to help inmates avoid future criminal behavior. Others argue that maintaining security and discipline should remain the main purpose of the prison system. Because of these beliefs about deterrence, accountability, justice, and public safety, many people continue to support the tough prison policies that have made Texas famous for its strict correctional system. Many criminal justice experts, psychologists, social workers, and human rights advocates believe that punishment alone is not enough to reduce crime in Texas or anywhere else in the world. While they agree that individuals who commit crimes must face consequences, critics argue that prisons should focus more on rehabilitation, education, mental health treatment, and personal development. According to this view, the main goal of the prison system should not only be to punish offenders, but also to help them change their behavior and successfully return to society. Critics of harsh prison systems believe that many crimes are connected to deeper social and personal problems such as poverty, addiction, lack of education, unemployment, childhood trauma, mental illness, and broken family environments. Simply locking people away for long periods may punish them temporarily, but it does not always solve the root causes that led them to commit crimes in the first place. Without treatment, education, or emotional support, many inmates may leave prison with the same problems they had before entering. Education is often considered one of the strongest tools for rehabilitation. Studies in different countries have shown that inmates who receive educational opportunities are less likely to return to crime after release. Learning basic reading and writing skills, completing school diplomas, or gaining college-level education can improve confidence and open legal employment opportunities. Critics argue that when prisoners gain knowledge and practical skills, they have a better chance of rebuilding their lives and supporting themselves honestly after prison. Vocational training programs are also viewed as highly important. Teaching inmates skills such as carpentry, mechanics, computer work, electrical repair, or cooking can prepare them for jobs after release. Critics say that many former prisoners struggle to find work because employers are hesitant to hire people with criminal records. Without job skills or employment opportunities, some former inmates may return to illegal activities simply to survive financially. Rehabilitation programs can reduce this risk by helping prisoners become productive members of society. Mental health treatment is another major area critics focus on. Many inmates suffer from depression, anxiety, trauma, addiction, or other emotional disorders. Harsh prison conditions may worsen these issues over time. Critics argue that untreated mental illness can increase aggression, hopelessness, and repeat criminal behavior. Counseling, therapy, and psychological support can help inmates better understand their actions, control emotions, and develop healthier decision-making skills. Drug addiction treatment is especially important because many crimes are connected to substance abuse. Critics believe that imprisoning addicted individuals without proper recovery programs often fails to solve the problem. Rehabilitation centers, therapy sessions, and recovery support programs can help inmates overcome addiction and avoid future criminal behavior after release. Another important argument made by critics is that excessively harsh punishment can damage individuals emotionally and socially. Long periods in violent or overcrowded prisons may increase anger, fear, and hopelessness rather than encourage personal growth. Some inmates become emotionally disconnected from society after spending years in difficult prison environments. Critics fear that prisons focused only on punishment may unintentionally create individuals who are less prepared for peaceful life outside prison walls. Critics also point to examples from other countries and states where rehabilitation-focused prison systems have produced lower rates of repeat crime. In some places, prisons emphasize education, counseling, work opportunities, and gradual reintegration into society. These systems aim to help inmates become stable citizens instead of returning to criminal lifestyles after release. Many rehabilitation supporters believe that helping inmates improve themselves ultimately benefits society as a whole. If former prisoners leave prison educated, mentally stable, and prepared for employment, communities may experience lower crime rates, stronger families, and safer neighborhoods. From this perspective, rehabilitation is not about being soft on crime, but about finding long-term solutions that reduce criminal behavior more effectively than punishment alone. One of the biggest debates surrounding the prison system in Texas and across the world is the question of what prisons are truly meant to accomplish. Some people believe prisons should mainly focus on punishment, ensuring that criminals suffer serious consequences for breaking the law. Others argue that prisons should also provide rehabilitation, education, and second chances so inmates can return to society as improved individuals. This ongoing debate shapes laws, prison policies, sentencing systems, and public opinion about justice. Supporters of punishment-focused prisons believe that the criminal justice system exists first and foremost to protect society. In their view, prison is meant to hold offenders accountable for their actions and ensure justice for victims. They argue that crimes can cause deep emotional, physical, and financial harm to innocent people, and therefore strong punishment is necessary. Long prison sentences and strict prison conditions are seen as ways to discourage criminal behavior and maintain respect for the law. Many people who support this approach feel that making prisons too comfortable could reduce accountability. They believe inmates should experience hardship because prison is intended to be a consequence for harmful actions. According to this perspective, strict discipline and firm control are important for maintaining order both inside prisons and within society as a whole. On the other side of the debate, supporters of rehabilitation believe punishment alone cannot solve the deeper causes of crime. They argue that many offenders come from backgrounds involving poverty, addiction, abuse, lack of education, mental illness, or unstable family environments. Simply imprisoning individuals for years without helping them improve may not prevent future criminal behavior. Instead, critics believe prisons should focus on changing behavior through education, therapy, job training, and emotional support. Rehabilitation advocates often point out that most prisoners will eventually return to society. Because of this, they argue it is in everyone's best interest to help inmates become responsible citizens before release. If former prisoners leave prison without skills, education, or emotional stability, they may struggle to find jobs, rebuild relationships, or avoid criminal activity. This can lead to repeat offenses and continued problems within communities. The idea of second chances is also central to the rehabilitation argument. Many people believe individuals can change if given proper support and opportunities. They argue that while serious crimes must be punished, people should not always be defined forever by their worst mistakes. Educational programs, counseling, addiction treatment, and work opportunities can help inmates develop responsibility and hope for the future. Another major concern in this debate is the financial cost of prisons. Housing inmates for many years can be extremely expensive for taxpayers. Some experts argue that investing in rehabilitation programs may reduce repeat crime and lower long-term prison costs. Programs that help inmates successfully reintegrate into society can potentially reduce overcrowding and improve public safety at the same time. Human rights organizations also raise concerns about prison conditions and the treatment of inmates. They argue that while prisoners lose their freedom as punishment, they should still be treated with basic human dignity. Critics of overly harsh prison systems believe that extreme conditions, isolation, violence, and lack of rehabilitation can damage individuals mentally and emotionally rather than encourage positive change.